Now, the thing is, people are saying we're quite harsh on Chelsea at the moment, Robbo, because we're not giving them enough flowers for what they're doing.
You're right.
Are we not being generous enough?
What I quite liked about Chelsea was the way they know how they want to build up. They create space, as they did for the first goal, because Gusto goes into an inside right position and their wide centre-half Chalobah gets space to come out with the ball, which he did, and then he passes it into goal. So the build-up play, I think, is very good. My one concern yesterday was Liam Delap.
Okay.
He wasn't looking for runs down the side because they were quite slow build-ups. They're looking to play into his feet, and he didn't hold it up particularly well. I think it's Michel, the centre-half, kept on going into the back of him. He had to take touches back and back, so he couldn't link up the play as well as they probably wanted him to. So that would be a slight worry for me with Chelsea.
Anything you want to add on Chelsea?
When we are harsh, using your words about Chelsea, it's not so much about the play itself. It's the decisions that they're making in putting together this roster. And because a lot of it seems to be, look, we have a lot of wingers, let's get another winger. It's that sort of conversation that we're having. Now, if you continue to win matches and now you should be the favorites going into the semifinals, I'm looking at Chelsea getting into the final of this tournament, and it's obviously a success for them and a success for Maresca. And it sets them up for success going into the Premier League season. But have they become better with their signings, significantly better, to take them to a different level entirely? And that is the question that I think we can all agree is probably, I don't think so. They're not quite there yet.
The frustrating things that we hear from Chelsea fans, Jan, is they're like, well, look at our run. No one gave us a chance to finish in the Champions League. Whilst others were dropping points, we were there consistently, getting victories. And now we're in a tournament with the quote-unquote best in the world, and we're through to the semi-finals, yet you still pick holes in us. The thing that I think frustrates us who watch the game is that given the amount of money that Chelsea has spent, you want a little bit more. You want to be entertained, don't you?
Exactly, and I think if the Chelsea fans are honest, if you spend £1 trillion of money to win the Conference League, I mean, that is not good enough. Let's be honest with that. But what we see, which is interesting that we now can have a look at, is the progress on the Maresca. And with Al, that sometimes you feel that they kind of get the same kind of players. So when you have a look at their, you can't, same kind of players and you have 2, 3, 4 alternative. Estevao is a good example. I think it will enlighten the Premier League. And we know that game, Robbo, what you're saying, now his goal, you will say the Chelsea fans will, of course, now say he tried to do that to build up the expectation. But I'm also with Robbo in terms of Delap. I think that has been missing. That striker, that number 9 striker, and to the Chelsea fans who's been a bit worried about that, the jury is still out there. Can Delap take the next step? He was a good striker at Ipswich. He was good, not great yet, and he has to be great. He has to hold the ball up because of the personalities, the kind of skills they have in their team. They are desperate for a number 9 that can keep the ball up for them so they can move their play further up the ground, and Delap didn't do that. And I'm not 100% sure how long it will take him to go into that role, because now Chelsea in the Champions League, I mean, they have to deliver more than the conference title to say that they have a great season.
And Delap, when he was playing for Ipswich, his strength was running down the side of defenders.
Supposed to be positive about Chelsea and their good run over the last 24 games, and now we're having a go at Liam Delap.
João Pedro came on and played very well.
Yes, I heard you.
João Pedro came on and made a big change when he came.
I think the comment was, he is not Didier Drogba.
Well,
fair enough. And I think that's what the Chelsea fans are looking for, is the next Didier Drogba.
And of course, all eyes on Estevao yesterday as he was up against his new side. This is what his manager, Abel Ferreira, had to say. He's a kid that's 18 years old, so Chelsea need to take care of him. They need to embrace him because in the beginning, for sure, he'll make mistakes. He's an amazing player with a lot of skill. He's a player who can win a game alone. I'm sure Chelsea have all the conditions to support him. He's a fantastic player, but he needs their help for sure. Yeah, and as someone who has lived, is it harder now for youngsters coming into the Premier League, given the exposure that they have on social media, given the expectations that fans have around them, in a sense that when you've got an 18-year-old now, is it different to being 18-year-old, say, 20 years ago?
Or I will even say 30 years ago, because 30 years ago there came a Brazilian to Middlesbrough called Juninho.
Yep.
He came there with a fantastic tag of being the next big thing. And he was, because of course he had players like me around him. That's another discussion. But true, you have no time now. You have to do it straight away. But you just hope that Chelsea will have a plan how to do that. And
what should that plan be, Jan?
The plan is we've seen Timo Werner when he came to London. We have Kai Havertz when he came to London. These are international, German international. It's going to be easier for them to adjust to the London environment. Just to use them too as an example. Yes, it was during the COVID. I know all those kind of things. I have no doubt that Estevao got the talent, that he got a skill to do well on the pitch. But sometimes we do forget that these people are human beings. This is an 18-year-old boy who's now gonna establish himself with his family, with friends, with all the temptations of London and everything. He's going to produce. I have no problem with him on the pitch, but they need to have a plan, and I hope Chelsea have a plan how to slowly get him into their team. Of course, he's building up the expectation with that goal that he, of course, did on purpose, but now he's coming to the Premier League. You need to have a plan outside the pitch. I think that's more than ever been valuable. I remember Juninho came, we had 2 or 3 and helped him out. We took him to a Brazilian restaurant, and I think we said there was a Brazilian restaurant in Middlesbrough because we had 2 or 3. But still, he from day one, he was a part of our team. He was a good lad, and then it's easier for them to adjust. So I just hope, and I wish him all the best, because London is not Middlesbrough. Kay is not on the show, so I am allowed to say that.
You know what worries me is that in the short quote of the manager of Palmeiras, Abel Ferreira, 3 times in the quote basically said, somebody's got to take care of this guy.
Sure.
Like, oh, he's great. He can win you game, but you got to look after him.
Yeah.
It tells me that there needs to be some babysitting going on in the early part of his stay at Chelsea. And somehow you have to get this player to focus on the things that he does well on the field. Be about the training field. Be about the training ground. Be about the locker room. Basically, from your apartment, directly to the training ground, and back to the apartment.
Yeah.
And that has to be the case up until he establishes a routine, up until he gets going, up until you can start seeing what he is on the field and what he can do for you. And then once he feels a little bit more comfortable, then maybe he can go to the grocery store by himself. This is what I get from what the manager said. There needs to be some serious babysitting. I hear that my son can do some babysitting.
Yeah, he looks after my boys brilliantly.
Yeah, maybe he can get paid for it, make some money, that'd be helpful.
What, Dan doesn't pay for it then?
Well, no, yes, Dan does.
They're going to put him in digs.
Are you going to let him live at your house? Because this seems to be the absolute ideal situation.
You can't go out, you can't do this. I would. It's much easier now to go into Chelsea than it was maybe 10 years ago.
You see, because I would sense from the outside looking in that at least then you've got Lampard, Terry, you've got Chelsea.
But that was the whole. No, you've just given my argument. When you went into Chelsea, there was 3 or 4 players that would give the player coming in the thumbs up or the thumbs down.
So Solari and De Bruyne would be the example.
When players came in that might have threatened John Terry and Frank Lampard and 1 or 2 of the others, they gave them the thumbs down, didn't probably treat them quite as well, made every mistake they made, they highlighted that. It was a hard place to play, Chelsea. That's why a lot of players, young players, didn't do as well. Salah, people like that.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's probably a much easier club to join because there's a lot of young players there and a lot of players have joined. My only question mark will be, will he be given enough chance? If you only feel comfortable at a football club if you're playing on a fairly regular basis. You don't want to be playing in the reserves or the under-23s every week and thinking, well, when am I going to get my chance?
Sure.
Because at that point you think, maybe the manager doesn't fancy me. How can I prove that I am this good, very good player? So he's got to be given a chance.
But don't you still have to earn it?
You have to earn it, of course, but you've earned it by playing really well so far. You can't then be put way, way down the list and you've got to break through about 7 players to get into the team.
To your point about the easier to come to Chelsea now than it was back then. You saw it after the game last night. The Chelsea players were going to him and, hey, all right, almost like, hey, we'll see in a couple of weeks, bud.
Cole Palmer was getting a translator in, wasn't he?
He's coming. He's going to be our guy. Hey, you want to meet him too? All right. I don't think you would have seen that in years past from Chelsea.
Go on, last word on this, you, Jan.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point that back in the days we are romanticizing the 90s and how it was. I think it's much easier now with the new generation and it was a great signal yesterday. Cole Palmer going over to him, embrace him, come, we'll sort you out. I think it's much easier now to adjust to a football club than back in the days when they were sitting like the Caesars in the stands doing this or that.